Okay. I think I got everything now. And we're just going to give it a few minutes here. Let people come in if they come in. But as I like to introduce myself all the time, hi everybody, I'm Keith. Hope everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. We're going to talk today about adoptions and the fact that it really does come down to one's own acceptance of themselves. This is in correlation to know thyself. Instead of believing everything everybody else is telling about how they classify you. When it comes to opinions, generally they say other people's opinion of yourself is none of your business, and that's basically true. We're thinking about all the things that people do against us and all of the things that we reject. And through my own experiences, that's a lot of what I was doing in my life too. I was rejecting this and rejecting that and rejecting this because of the foulness and the thing that it's, and what it all does is just keeps it in my case, it kept me from learning more about myself. Instead of saying that's not me and trying to prove that what they were saying about me wasn't true, I wasn't looking into myself and realizing what I am part of and what all my observations around me, and actually realizing that I need to make that a part of me. All my life, and I think through a lot of people's lives, we've had a lot of things that have been made a part of us that aren't really natural. And so we've gotten to this point where everybody's indoctrinated, and we really need to come out of that. And for me, it was coming to a realization of what I needed to adopt in my life. And one of the things that brought me about to this was a 12-step program. And the fact that I knew that there was something wrong, it didn't necessarily mean that it was the addiction that was wrong in my life. Let's make sure that's right. Foremost first, a lot of people have addictions in their life and they're looked at differently. Some people think of an addiction as a dedication. Some people think of things that they're dedicated to as merely a dedication, when in fact it is an addiction. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is addicted to racing because he's dedicated to it, just like his dad was. And though he may not die of his dedication or die of his addiction like his dad did, his dad died of his addiction like many other people died of their addictions, though their addictions were not the same. And this is one of the things that brought me to realize that in my own faults, in my own transgressions, that one of the things I needed to do was start learning how to adopt the righteous moral principles of other people. Because I certainly didn't have them myself if I looked at myself the way I was in those 12-step programs. And thank God for those 12-step programs, because that's what brought me to realize that I'm not an addict. That's just a descriptor of what I am. And relatively, it's relativity. It's somebody else's descriptor of what I am and not mine. Because if it was my descriptor, it'd be a dedication and not an addict. So as we get on to this thing about adoptions, I wanted to talk to everybody about adoptions tonight, because that's one of the things that brought me to where I am today. I too, even though I was born and indoctrinated into the system, much like everybody else, in that system, I was stripped from my mom and dad's arms, along with 4 brothers and sisters, and thrown into a foster care system, and consequently was adopted. Now, I was adopted with 2 of my younger brothers and sisters, or 2 of my younger sisters, while my older brother and sister remained out there. The people that adopted me didn't want to adopt all 5 of us, so they adopted 3 of us. Now, no matter how many people might think that that's a sweet story and it's righteous and everything, and don't get me wrong, I'm certainly glad I got to live those number of years with my 2 younger sisters. But the fact of the matter is that they, through their own actions and own desires of wanting a family, and help enable that system. And in so doing, now, I don't know how much reason and logic there is to it, but I think there's a lot of foundation in the reason and logic that with this foster care system, if you only want a family of 3, then maybe you ought to stick to siblings of 3 instead of picking 3 out of 5, and therefore taking part of a system that does in fact help destroy a family. I mean, granted, it's still, even through the adoption system, it's still kidnapping the children of Israel and making merchandise of them, because all children are innocent. No matter how you look at it, the children themselves are innocent. And I push this forth in anybody I talk to that's having custody battles and stuff. It really saddens me, because the most important thing, no matter how many rights you think you have as a mom or a dad, the most inherent right is the right of inheritance and the right of legacy of that very living soul that both mom and dad brought into this world. Knowing that living soul isn't going to be competent to manage his own life, her own life, until there's a certain number of years behind them where they've had to observe things in life and know what part in life they play, so they can then make their own decisions. So it's very important that we realize the things that we adopt. It goes very much like Hosea 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And because you're no priest of me, because you don't have that knowledge of me, when I reject you, I have to reject your children as well. Because how can your children know me if you don't show them to me? And this is the fallacy of the foster care system, the commercialization of it. It is merchandising the children of Israel. So when we talk about these adoptions, I want to get onto the scripture about it. And there's two main scriptures I'm going to start out with. And of course, they're going to come from King James Version of the Bible, my favorite version, the one I use, because that's the one these administrative courts use. And it says, it's Ecclesiasticus 6, verse 7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. And this strikes me, because when I did go to the people that adopted me, the people that I call my mom and dad, and wanted to talk to them about that very issue of being a part of the system, that tore my family apart is in fact the very same system that tears apart every family out there. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It destroys that one concept. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first and be not hasty to credit him. So when we're adopting these children, what happens is we're taking upon and placing to our own credit our own beliefs on those children. Again, Hosea 4, verse 6. So if they're going to, as these people did, at 10 years of age when they adopted me, actually I was 9 when they adopted me and turned 10 shortly thereafter. But the first thing they imposed upon me wasn't actually the biblical scriptures, though they did end up taking me to church. One of the most primary functions in their educating me and bringing me up in life was to have me get a paper out so I could learn money.
Lay down. That better have been okay.
I don't think we're supposed to adopt money until we're the age of majority. Now, granted, in the meantime, we can learn about money, but that should come from mom and dad. And granted, the paper route was good experience, and I guarantee you, I wouldn't go back and change it. It learned me how to communicate with people to get the things that I wanted, and hold myself to my own responsibility of performance under that obligation, because not only was I obligated to them, but I was obligated to my own desire. And this is what's wrong in those situations where people adopt children. In any case, because by reason and logic, we shouldn't be destroying other families. So if we find a child without a mom and dad wandering down the street, the first part of the process of adopting is finding the source. Think about that, people. Think about what I just said. If you find a kid wandering down the street, do you just automatically adopt him? Or do you find the source? And in your searching these days, when we're looking for that source, are we looking for a source that fits our desires? And remaining only asking those people that will give us the source of their credit? See, this is the fallacy of all the commercial system. Where does the credit from the commercial system really come from? Who adopted that? Who went back and found out the source for the commercial system and thought that was a good idea, we should adopt it? It can't manage on its own. It's incompetent. And truly, thus I say to you today, the same as it was in the beginning. Commerce is incompetence.
No.
If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first and be not hasty to credit him. If thou wouldest first get a asset, prove it first and not be hasty to give it credit. Same thing. If you're going to give credit to some piece of paper because it's got some magical words on it saying something exists over here that you've never observed, what are you truly adopting? What are you truly giving credit to? So I'm going to go on to the next verse that I've got posted, and it's Luke 6, verse 33, coincidentally. And if ye do good to them, which do good to you. In other words, in finding that friend and proving him to be worthy, it's like kind. You find that it's like kind, and there's an equal consideration and equal benefit. Then what thank have ye? What thank have ye to the guy that has the same like mind, who gives you equal credit? Is he the one that loves his neighbor as himself and honors his mother in earth and honors his father in heaven? Is that who you should truly thank? For sinners also do even the same. But they thank each other in that commercial paper. That's what keeps the fiat currency going. Sinners doing even the same to each other. So when you get involved in this for-profit commercial system, because you adopted it, you are in fact adopting the sin and making agreements and doing the same with other sinners. I urge you to come out of her and come out of the confusion. This is truly what you're adopting.
No.
In that commercial system, we use personage.
No.
And so I want to correlate that to Romans 8,
No.
verses 19 through 23. Romans 8, verse 19. For the earnest expectation of the creature that waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. Let me reiterate Ecclesiasticus 6:7. If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. That's what you give credit to. You don't give credit to the man. You give credit to his actions, because he's the one that's able to manifest the sons of God, the word of God. And if ye do good to them which do good to you. The actions, not the words. For a creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope. So when a man flashes out this $100 bill and says, here, or this nice shiny gold coin, or this nice shiny silver coin, it says here, and bedazzles the observance, which is something that he himself manifested and wasn't a manifestation from our Father, then take it as a caveat. Take it as a caveat that it's not natural. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from bondage of corruption in the glorious liberty of the children of God. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly. What's the person? It's something that can't do anything by its will, because it has no will. It can't do anything willingly. Not willingly is the person. That is the creature. And it was made subject to the image and likeness of the graven image, the photo ID. the one that gives somebody else a picture in their mind of a past observance. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. The whole creation. The whole creation is both the creature and the child which has that creature. The child of God, each and every child of God and their creature, of which they have dominion. He gave us dominion of all creatures, including our own. And so if our creature is crying because it's being fined, penalized, taxed, charged, then we too groaneth and travail in pain. That's where we see this act of war. It's called a mixed war. They're using that creature in a mixed war to imprison us in our body, and then imprison our body inside of their borders. 23. And not only they, but ourselves, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. So when we talk about the adoption, and you've heard me talk about these people adopting me, and me adopting you people are my friends, you people are my neighbors. I've told you many times, your mothers and your fathers, they're mine. You're mine. Your children, they're mine. Nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, grandpas, grandmas, cousins, all mine. I adopt them all unconditionally, with unconditional love. And in that, instead of trying to throw off that person, I come to realize it's the resurrection. That's the one thing I'm supposed to adopt. It's the bastard child running around there causing problems. So I found the source, and I adopted him. Now he's merged with me. And we help reorganize his thoughts because he's not willing. So we have to do it for him. And we do so under a new name. That way that little bastard can't go around ruining that good name anymore. To wit, the redemption of our body. Now, once we realize we have been redeemed, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. Reorganized under a new name. And now it belongs to him. I think it's pretty simple. And I hope I made it simple enough for everybody to understand through my own story of adoption. It's a matter of knowing what you want in your life, knowing what you've been rejecting in your life, and how to go about that. And it's not just merely adopting it. It's by your observance, finding the source to find out if it's the same source as yourself. Natural. If it's not a natural source, then take it, again, like I said, take it as a caveat. Find out what it is, and then determine for yourself whether it's good or bad, right or wrong, and whether you can use it to make improvements, not only in your life, but in the lives of others. And the last thing I want to go over here, because I was thinking about this and going through the rules and everything, I come across the instruction of statutes in Iowa, Rule 4.1. And it's a series of definitions, and it says child includes child by adoption. Includes child by adoption. That's a very succinct phrase, and we can use that phrase for everything we do in life, so long as we find the source first before we use that phrase. Simply by replacing child with whatever word you want. Peace includes peace by adoption. Work includes work by adoption. Infant includes infant by adoption. And what that does is now you have to come to a clarification point of law, exactly what each and one of those means. Because when you go by adoption, what you're doing is you're creating a consortium of definitions. Consortium library. Look that one up. Consortium library. And what you're doing is you're just pulling in all the information. So when it says child includes child by adoption, that's one phrase we can pick out and use in everything we do. Child of Israel means child of Israel by adoption. And one shall call themselves by the name of Jacob. And the other one shall subscribe unto himself in the surname of Israel. That's all it takes. Opens the scriptures wide. One of my favorites, Jeremiah 1, verse 5. I knew thee before I formed thee in the belly. Before thou was cast from the womb, I sanctified thee. I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Why is everybody taking upon these nationalities? You're a prophet unto the nation. And your greatest grace in life is to be able to prophet his words unto those nations, not fall to their scriptured words, twisted, serpentine, political subdivisions, whatever. You adopt that bastardization and correct it and bring them into correction through that. That's the improvement. Everything in the public domain. That's the perfection of the record. Perfect their record. Quit crying about it. Quit rejecting it. Read it. And every time you find something, fix it. Keep it in your own records. Adopt it. Fix it. And that way, if that issue ever comes up, boom, there you go. Here's the remedy. You're already preemptive on the remedy. And that's all it is. It's correction of the record. And they're the record. Their record is the one that's wrong. Because it doesn't apply to you unless you adopt it and point out the clarifications of how it doesn't apply to you. If I'm a child of anything, I am a child of Israel. And the child of Israel includes child of Israel by adoption. Simple as that. Anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed this. I want to thank you for joining me today. Again, hope everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Like always, I'll post my PayPal link. And before I get going too far, I do want to thank everybody for helping out with donations. It is a big help, so please keep hitting that PayPal button and sharing some love. But make sure you share all the links in the forums and information and videos. Get it out to everybody so they can adopt it. Can't force it on them, but you can at least take your part in it and adopt it yourself and then share it. In the meantime, God bless again. Thanks, folks. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. Have a good day.